Have you ever come across a research paper that pulls you in right from the start? And the reason for that is because the research question itself is so interesting and timely, and you think, oh, I should have seen it myself. How does one come up with research questions that are interesting and relevant and have implications? I'm Dr. Sukriti Sekhri. I'm an assistant professor of marketing at SPJ Mumbai. And before this, I did my PhD at IIM Ahmedabad. So I'm going to share with you what works for me. So the number one way is to look around you. So looking at the real world around us can really give us insights and input as a starting point. So, at least in the marketing discipline and management disciplines, it's very easy to come across something which makes you go, that's interesting. And that could be a starting point. For instance, if we take the example of e shopping, online shopping, or quick commerce, right? These are domains that are ripe for the picking. Or let's say there's a policy change and that leaves room for asking questions. The second way is the one that most students try working out during their PhD phase, which is turning to literature as the starting point. Especially while reading, if one comes across literature streams that seem to be talking about same things, but they're divergent. So let's say one group of scholars is talking about the path A that people take, while the other group of scholars is talking about path B. Can we come in and try to reconcile both paths? Or can we possibly suggest a third path which shows that there could be a bridge between A and B, or perhaps bring in a boundary condition or a moderator that there are certain elements which impact why people choose A or why and when they choose B. So these are some ways in which one can look at what is an interesting question to ask. But before picking up a question and starting work on it, there are a few qualifiers one must answer. The first is the research question going to add value? Does it answer the so what question, right? That if you study this, and if somebody asks you, so what? Do you have an answer for that or not? This was one of the things that was drilled to me during my PhD at IIM Ahmedabad. What will be the outcome or the implications or the impact or the use case of whatever it is we are researching? Because sometimes, especially in the literature route, we could fall in the trap of starting to think that a question is important simply because it has not been studied before or because there is that divergence I was speaking of. But we have to first check that will answering that question even be of relevance or not? Or will it simply be too theoretical or too obscure to make a relevant contribution in the field and to the world of practice? The second qualifier to ask ourselves is, why has this topic not been studied before? Is it not interesting or not relevant? Is it because the answer is too obvious? Or is it because there's a practical limitation? Suppose I want to study how human beings' behavior changes in a particular context from this to that age. Now, realistically, it might be very difficult for me to come across that kind of data just to come up with the answer, which may not prove to be worth it, right? So we have to ask that very important qualifier before going ahead. One bonus tip while talking about cool research ideas is always maintain an inspiration notebook. Now, it can be digital, of course. So I have a Google Note doc, which has been with me since first year of PhD. I keep adding ideas to it as and when I spot something interesting in the real world, or if I'm reading some literature and I realize, but that author said this, but this author says this, and then suddenly there's a plethora of new research ideas and topics that come. So the best way to work with those is to kind of park them in that document and pick it up when you're ready, because at any given point in time, as all of us academics know, there's always work to be done.